Hi guys, this is Wizard1 bringing you the full review of the UMI Plus smartphone after about a week of usage. I would really like to thank my buddy Roy again for allowing me to take his brand new phone that he bought and basically keep it away from him for a week and have him watch me use it while not getting to use it himself. I'll be honest, I almost dropped it a few times. Don't tell him that, but I almost dropped it a few times. Luckily I didn't. I know he's very anxious to get his new phone back so he can start using it for himself. So we're going to just quickly start with this review. So I'm not going to really go too deep into the specs of the phone as I really touched upon them more in the unboxing. However, I'm just going to quickly show you the specs again for those who haven't watched it from the box here. Okay. So coming in at just under 200 grams, so I believe it's about 192, so we'll quickly just weigh this. Okay, so yeah, exactly 192 grams, so just under 200 grams for the phone. Coming in at just under 200 grams, the phone feels really nice in the hand. They finished it with really sleek brushed full metal unibody here, and they also hid basically the phone's antennas on the bottom and the top here. They put basically plastic caps on it to really hide them. So unless you really look at it, you don't really notice that they are there. It just basically looks like it's part of the actual phone itself. The body itself of the phone is extremely beautiful. It has a beautiful curved 2D glass screen here, and it melds perfectly into the side of the phone, which is also curved, so it really feels like a premium phone. It feels really nice in the hand to hold. On the side here we have the dedicated shortcut button, which allows you to, it's defaulted to the camera. However, if we go into the settings here, so we have the shortcut button settings. If you go into settings here, you could basically either turn it on and off, or you can basically choose any app that you have or feature you have on the phone, and you can choose it and it'll default to that when you use it. I myself, I leave it on, but you might want to disable it. What I find is when I'm playing games and whatnot, holding it in landscape. When I'm holding it in landscape mode, there is a chance that I tap this when I'm playing, and it does toggle me out of the game, which is sort of annoying, but I found I just hold it the other way and it's typically fine. So that's one thing you might want to notice with that. In terms of the phone's thickness itself, it's actually relatively thin, so let me just quickly, let me just tear this first. Okay, so the phone itself comes in, I believe, at 8 millimeters, or 9 millimeters in thickness. So it is really thin. Yeah, so that's really thin. So let's put that away first. Besides that, on the bottom here, you'll see the speakers, which is, it's not actually a speaker, it's a speaker, which comes out only this side. You also have the USB Type-C connector here. One thing you want to note is that for some reason the port that they decide to put on this device is slightly further in than normal for like a Type-C connector. So one thing you'll notice with that is that you might want to note is that for something like a adapter here, for this specific adapter, if you plug it in, it doesn't stay in. That's because this has a relatively short head and it just doesn't stay in. It doesn't click, it doesn't stay in. So I'll give you another example. So this is one of the other ones I have, which is I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is slightly longer than the other one. So this one here, when you plug it in, it does click and it doesn't have any problems. It's relatively hard to actually take out. The same thing with the original UMI cable they give you. So it does take a good amount of effort to really pull it out. So that's one thing you want to be aware of. It might not really connect or securely connect to the device, so you might need to buy another USB cable. On the back of the device here, we also have the 13 megapixel Samsung camera. The camera itself is extremely fast at taking pictures with very little shutter lag. So let me just give you an example here. So watch down here when the pictures, how fast the pictures show up. Okay, you can see there's very little lag at all. I can take so many pictures and it's relatively fast. Overall, the pictures taken by this phone are okay, but there is a slight color loss when compared to the original. Let me just quickly show you some pictures I took of it. Okay. Okay, so here's a picture I took at a park close to my house. So you can see the pictures are a little, maybe, it's still pretty sharp. As you can see here, it's still pretty sharp. The colors are not as vibrant as I would like. I tried using some filters here, so you can see a filter here that I used. Let me actually quickly show you the filters that this phone actually gives you for the camera. There's actually a lot. So they have basically a pro version here, and basically lets you adjust. Let me see if it's better if I show you this way. So probably this way. So basically you can adjust the saturation from high to low. You can adjust the brightness if you want. You can adjust the contrast, the exposure, the ISO, and the white balance on the pictures you're taking. So it gives you a lot of options in terms of adjusting for taking pictures. There's HDR, and as well I think there's a lot of I'm not sure where it was, but there's a lot of filters here that you can use, and there's a lot of options for you to choose from in terms of taking your pictures. Also, video-wise, this camera does a decent job at picture quality. It does shoot at a full 1080p resolution, and it also has image stabilization for you while you're recording. So I'll show you a quick video of that area that I took. Where did it go? Okay, so okay, so that's the video. So again, the picture quality is about the same. You're not getting the really sharp colors that I guess you would normally get compared to what I saw when I was there. The colors are a little washed out, but overall, the phone's camera is good enough for basic usage. For those of you that play Pokemon Go, I'm happy to report that this is one of the few Chinese smartphones out there that does support the AR mode, if that's your thing. One thing I did not really like about this camera is the fact that, I'm not sure if you can see here, but it does stick out quite substantially from the body, which is typical of these Chinese smartphones out there, which means that the lens here is more prone to scratching and possibly damage, because when you're putting the phone down on a table, it's actually resting on the lens rim itself. So this can probably be fixed or alleviated by buying a TPU case for this phone. When I first got this phone, the only option was the UMI UMI's own OEM flip case, which is quite expensive. It costs about 10 to 15 US dollars. However, as of this review, about a week later, more affordable versions have shown up on places like eBay and whatnot for only 5 US dollars from China. So it's you definitely want to consider buying a case for this beautiful phone, because it doesn't come with one. Some of the other Chinese phones I've reviewed already come with a TPU case in the package, but this does not, so you're going to have to buy your own. Okay, so the screen itself is what they call is it's Dynarex T2X-1 chemically strengthened glass made by Nippon Electric Glass of Japan. Based on the comments online that I've read on the research, its strength and durability is comparable to alternatives such as Gorilla Glass and Dragon Trail Glass. So you can be rest assured that it'll protect your phone. Behind the Dynarex glass, we have a Sharp, pardon the pun, a Sharp branded high def display. It's a 5.5 inch display with extremely good viewing angles. You can see here we have really nice viewing angles on it. There's not really any problems with it. Even in a bright light, I don't really have any problems looking at this phone. It has very nice sharp colors, and it has it's a full HD 1080p screen. On the top here, let me see if you can see it. So on the top here, we have what they call the Harlequin LED notification light, which is a customizable multicolored LED notification light that can blink, pulse, and transition between other colors. So if we go to the settings here, you can click on Harlequin, and you can do multiple things. You can make it change colors while it's charging, while the battery is low. You can choose notifications for calls, messages, and miscellaneous, and incoming calls as well. Okay, so we also have, so the soft buttons here, you can hide them if you want. They are also customizable on the settings. So if we go back to the settings here, where to go? So navigation bar, you can choose the different settings you want. So you can have the hiding button on this side instead of on the left side. You can choose the back button, home button, and whatnot. You can choose that however you like, or you can just hide it completely. One thing to note is that although you don't really see it, this phone actually has two capacitive buttons next to the home button. So as you saw before, this is on the left hand side here is actually a back button, and this here is the menu button. So if you click on this, you'll bring up the menu on the side. If you click this, it's a back button. The home button itself is in the center, and this is where the fingerprint sensor is. So most of the Chinese phones I've reviewed so far, aside from the OnePlus 2, has basically the fingerprint sensor on the back. I do prefer the back because when you're holding the phone, it's more convenient to be on the back. On the front, it's less convenient, but again, it's still okay. It's very accurate and highly responsive. So let's quickly just show you. So if you lock it, it's pretty fast in actually unlocking. So yeah, so it's probably less than a second before it unlocks. Okay, so spec-wise with this phone, the phone's Helio P10 octa-core CPU and 4 gigs of RAM is more than enough to run basically any application you want. There wasn't really a big change after loading all my normal apps for usage and then running the N22 benchmarks. So when coupled with the large 4000 milliamp hour battery, it basically lasts about an entire day with my typical everyday usage, which is basically running Waze GPS while driving, playing the 2 different Clash games, the WhatsApp and web browsing. On my days off, when I did full more use and heavy use on the phone, such as streaming videos on Kodi, playing games and web browsing, I got basically 6 to 7 hours on heavy usage. In terms of charging, it can charge from 10% to 100% in about 2 hours, depending on the output capacity of the charger being used. You can see here, let me just quickly get you my screenshots of the charging. So you can see here from the screenshots of charging, so this is a screenshot, this is not me charging right now, but as you can see from the screenshots, it's averaging about 10% increase in battery capacity approximately every 10 minutes, give or take. One thing I actually wanted to note, I don't really notice this on my other phones, is that with this phone, when the battery gets really low, the borders on the top and the bottom of the phone actually are in orange. It doesn't change anything below 10%. So when I took this, it was at 15% and it turned orange. When it got under 10%, it's still orange. It doesn't change to red. I was hoping it would change to red or some other color, but it doesn't. So yeah, that's one cool feature it has. Besides that, this phone is basically a stock Android. There's no additional apps or other bloat that they really add onto this device. I basically use Nova Launcher right now, so because I like it, it's more customizable and whatnot. So that's for that. Okay, so another Canadian reviewer has mentioned that there were issues with this phone's 4G LTE reception and as well as the GPS reception. I'm also with Fido, and if you can see here from the speed test that I've run over the past few days. So the speed tests I've run over the past few days at various locations and times during the day, the 4G data connectivity is perfect. It just doesn't have any problems. Speed tests show download speeds of max of 71 megabits per second with maximum upload speeds of 25 megabits per second. Obviously, the phone's only as good as this reception around you, so there are going to be dead zones in the area where you won't get good connectivity, and that's just how it is. No matter how good or bad your phone is, if it's a dead zone, it's a dead zone. You can't really do anything about it. In terms of Wi-Fi connectivity, it connects perfectly fine to access points that are quite a ways distance away. It holds the reception good, it holds the connection good. In terms of the GPS itself, it works perfectly fine as well. So again, I don't know how the other reviewer really tests that. It works fine as well, and I feel the only real issue is that it takes maybe a second or two longer than my own personal phone, which is the 4000mAh Max, to get a GPS fix. But once that is done, it works perfectly fine. So let's quickly just do a GPS test for you. Okay, so GPS test. So 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, 4, 1000, 5, 1000, 6, 1000. So it says basically 6 seconds to get a GPS 3D fix on your phone, which is fine. I think my 4000 Max does it in like 4 seconds. So it's not a huge difference, but it's a 2-second difference, which really doesn't matter to me at all. Okay, so let's quickly let's get all of this. Okay, so I want to also quickly look at just performance-wise in terms of like running games and whatnot that I normally do on my reviews. So let's just boot up the CPU monitor. So hopefully I can play this game while CPU monitor is running, so you can get an idea of how it works. Okay, I haven't really. Oh, okay, we'll let it download. So yeah, so you see that I am on LTE right now, and speeds are pretty fast. Hopefully I'll do well in this level. I typically use Nevada level when I'm trying to do my when I do my reviews. When I use the Nevada, I'm more used to that one. So I've never played this level before, so hopefully I do well and I don't completely mess up my car. So as you can see, actually no, sorry, I'm not on LTE right now. I'm on Wi-Fi right now. So but yeah, you saw my Wi-Fi, not my Wi-Fi, my LTE benchmarks earlier. So I hate these stupid ads. Holy crap, this is taking forever. Get out of the way. Okay, so. Okay, so you've seen this running. I'm just going to close this now because it's pretty distracting. Hopefully I do okay in this level. I've really never played this level before. Oh god, okay. That didn't work. Oh my god. What the crap is with this level? Nice. Okay, now I killed myself. Okay, anyways, so that's that. You saw that it runs Asphalt 8 really smoothly. It doesn't really have any... How to get off this? Okay, so yeah, you can press down on the home button and it goes back. If you hold down on the home button, it basically gives you your most recent apps that you've run, which you can clear if you want to clear that. So you can use that, or you can use the home button to just go in and out of apps and whatnot. Okay, so the last thing I really want to talk about is the audio quality on this phone. So you notice when I was playing Asphalt there, the sound quality, I'm not sure if you heard the sound quality, but with the UMI Plus, the sound quality from the headphone jack here is perfectly fine. It's helped out with the amp and the sound is really crisp and clear. Same thing with Bluetooth, it sounds perfectly fine. However, without enabling EQ on the output with the external speaker here, it's really flat and metallic. So I'll let you have a listen. Hopefully, let me see what I can have to play for you that won't trigger Google's thing. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, so we'll try this. So yeah, so the sound quality on this speaker here is not as deep as I would like. It shouldn't really matter too much to the casual listener, but it's something that you might want to take into account when deciding whether or not this phone is right for you. Okay, so to summarize, the UMI Plus offers great specs for a phone that's under $200 right now. They say it's their premium flagship phone, but it's not really a flagship phone, it's mid-range phone. It has a premium feel because of its rounded metal unibody and its rounded glass edge here. It has a really good MediaTek Helio P10 CPU with 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is more than enough to run my daily apps. And the large 4000 milliamp hour battery is big enough to last basically a day on regular usage. It can also be fully charged in about 2 hours. It has good fast 4G cellular connectivity with Wi-Fi connectivity as well. It has a slightly slower GPS fix, but once you get the fix there, it runs perfectly fine. I use it with Waze, and I have perfectly no problems doing my just driving around using it for my navigation. The only slight shortcomings with this phone is that the camera here, it sticks out and it doesn't always display the true color of whatever you're taking a picture of, and the external speaker is really flat sounding without the use of EQ. Again, I would like to thank Roy for letting me use his new phone for the past week. If you like this device, and if you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. If you have any questions or concerns regarding this or just my videos in general, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope to see you again in my next review.